Thank you so much for coming to the second session for this day on Advocacy Week. For our final session this evening, we are going to learn about more amazing art. And so today we have Katie Lewis, Carmen Rangel, and Sade Lawson, who are all going to be showing you the amazing murals that they have been pretty much painting all around Austin and really representing a lot of the culture and just holding it down for women of color artists. And so I'm excited for this. I'm going to go ahead. I think we're going to just go ahead and jump in. And we will hear from Carmen Rangel first. And the way this is going to work is that we'll hear from each artist, and then at the end we'll have time to ask questions and do a little Q&A. So thank you all, and here is Carmen.
Oh, whoops. All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, hi, I'm Carmen Rangel, also known as Viva la Painter. I'm a visual artist and muralist from Austin, Texas. Thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited to share some of my work with you. Before I get into a lot of my public artwork, I just want to give you kind of like a quick bio about me. So I do all sorts of different types of artwork. I do studio work, specialize in acrylic painting, glass mosaic, and paper collage. But definitely where my passion lies the most is in creating public artwork. And so I got into public artwork during my time when I was at St. Edward's University. I was getting my BA in communication. So I'm actually a PR and advertising major. And I was doing research on visual communication, just like finding ways to be able to like communicate causes and ideas to people that I guess just like to a wider range of people, not, because there's a lot of barriers in terms of like social economic status or language and things like that. And so I discovered that a lot of artists were like creating these murals and talking about like social issues, environmental stuff, and starting conversations that, normally wouldn't happen, or things that like the media and the government weren't really being transparent or weren't sharing in these communities. So yeah, I just kind of like dove deep in after that, and just like I fell in love with the art form, all sorts of public art. Like this picture is a painted sculpture, but I also do glass mosaic as well. So aside from creating public art, I like to create community spaces. I like to create events and just, kind of support other people. So I'm one of the founding members of Free to Friday ATX. I was part of the committee for 2 years. I ended up leaving to focus on my art full time, but I definitely learned a lot about bringing people together and supporting them. And I also do that by curating art shows. So this is actually from a show that I did March 2020, like literally right before everything changed. But I'm really hoping that I'm able to do these kind of things in the future, hopefully pretty soon, just because I love giving creatives just like a space to show their artwork and just to network and things like that. All right, so let's get into it. So this piece is one of my favorite pieces. Are you able to see it? I think so. Okay. Sorry, I've never done screen sharing before. So this is a piece I actually created in 2019. That's actually a little typo right there. But this is one of my favorite pieces. It's a giant prayer candle painted on a pillar. And this piece was part of the Pillars project that was facilitated by Raisin in the Sun and Public City. And it was commissioned by the City of Austin and the Austin Parks Foundation. And for this particular project, they selected 6 artists, and they gave us just like all of these audio files to work from. So they collected actual oral histories from people living in the community. And they just gave us all these files and like, all right, use this as your inspiration and create something. So for my piece, there was a woman in one of the audio files who was saying how despite all the changes in her neighborhood and the area that she grew up in, that she was, going to continue to fight and to, stand up for herself and for her people, and that she was, continuing to live and thrive in the area. So that when she said living and thriving, like that really stuck with me, and I felt like it resonated with all the other stories that I heard. So that's why I titled this piece that, and that's what it says on top of the candle. So like the point was I wanted people to kind of stand in front of the prayer candle as a way to kind of like honor yourself, and also a way to like share how you're living and thriving, share your personal stories in the neighborhood or like challenges and things like that. So this is a really fun project for me. And this one I really wanted to show. This is a really special piece. This is called the Gray Ghost. It's after Roosevelt Gray Ghost Williams, who was a blues pianist in Central Texas. He was born in 1903, passed in 1996. And he was, a pianist. And then when he wasn't playing music, he was a bus driver for the Austin community. And we had the opportunity to create a community-based mosaic where we could just kind of create whatever we wanted, but we decided we were like, all right, let's share someone's story who's not super well known. We found out about him from doing some research. We were able to meet the photographer who took the photo of him on the right, and gave us permission to use it as a reference photo. And it was cool too, because we were also able to hear his stories about how, how their interactions were when they met and did this photo shoot. But the really cool thing about this project, it was made completely with all community help. So we had people from all sorts of different backgrounds. We had I think our youngest person was maybe like 12 years old, and the oldest person that helped was like 65. Like all these people with like absolutely, some had no creative background, but there was a few that did. And it was just a really fun project. And a lot of it was made with recycled materials. So here's a picture from one of our community days when we just had people come out throughout the day and, put a piece up. And I think that having other people be part of the project just makes it, really more rewarding and fulfilling to them. And also they're able to say that they were part of this piece of art in their community. Oops. And this is a piece that I created for the Justice for Vanessa Guillen march that was here, I want to say the end of July or August. And so they were having the march after her wrongful death, and they wanted the march to kind of be a way to demand justice for her and her family, but also to advocate for the passing of the, what was the name of the bill? I wrote it down, sorry. The I Am Vanessa Guillen Act, which would make it easier for people to report sexual harassment in the military. And so my friend, who's a community organizer who was part of this, of organizing the march, reached out to me. She's like, do you want to paint something for her? And, I was really emotional, hearing about her story. And it was a great way for me to be able to show my support, but also to channel that energy. She just like raised a little bit of funds to give to Vanessa Guillen's family. And then a little bit of that went to buying the wood for the panels. And someone offered their time to put it together for us. And I spent like 2 days on it with some friends, and they just picked it up and went and put it up at the march. But it was really beautiful to see so many people out supporting. And over here on the left is a picture of some of her family from San Antonio that came out to the march. So it was a really beautiful, moving moment. This is one I did for the No Says Way campaign. I'm not sure if y'all have heard about them, but they created this campaign to just provide resources about the COVID pandemic in Spanish, because the Latinx community in Austin was hit pretty hard by it. And they found that there was definitely a need for more resources in Spanish. So they created these murals. I'm one of the artists that was chosen to do one. So when you see one of the murals, they have the QR code on the left, and that'll take you to resources on where to get vaccinations, on any sort of like regulations, and just information about the pandemic. And for those of you who don't know, No Says Way, kind of translates to like, don't be an idiot. And there down here it says, wear your mask. And I got to paint this really cute little armadillo in a mask. And that was like probably one of my favorite things that I painted like all of 2020. And this one I just wanted to briefly touch on. This is a mural that I created for the Cuernavaca neighborhood. It's actually a neighborhood here in Austin, but we like to call it Cuernavaca, Texas, because it's definitely got its own vibe. It's this like little quirky, funky neighborhood off of B Caves Road in West Austin. It's actually the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I was reached out with the opportunity to create this mural for a community space that they were building there, and it just seemed like a great fit. And I have always wanted to make something in this neighborhood, so I couldn't say no, but I will definitely say that this is like one of the hardest projects that I ever did, for a lot of reasons. Like the timeline was super short, the scale, it was massive, and then not only that, but I'm not sure if you can tell from the photos, but it was painted on these like limestone bricks that are super textured, and the paint was just like soaking up. So I did a combination of acrylic and spray paint, but even then it took a really long time. But a fun thing about this project, not only because I had a lot of experience from growing up in the neighborhood, but we also reached out to people, just by asking people in the neighborhood what they wanted in the mural, and reached out to people on Facebook and on Nextdoor, and we got feedback from everyone. And I was able to, use that feedback and then figure out what to put in the mural. And, like there's just like little touches that make a difference. So I had like an elderly person come up and say they really liked how I put the old playground and said the letter C towards the end. And that's the playground that I grew up playing on, but I didn't know that it's not there anymore. And so just like those little things like definitely make people be able to connect with with the public art more. And not only that, but we had people come out and help. Over here on the right is actually a picture of my little sister. She lives in the neighborhood right now, and so she was able to come out and help. And I actually had the opportunity to hire an assistant artist for this project. And I hired a local artist who lived down the street from this wall to come help. And she had just graduated from high school. She's a class of 2020 at Westlake High School. It's actually the high school that I went to, and I graduated 2010. So it's like 10 years after, and it was just cool to like meet her and hang out with her, and also just kind of introduce her into the world of public art, as she's a painter and she does a graphic design as well. So it was just a fun project, a lot of people involved. And this last one I want to touch on is the mural I did for the Be Well ATX project that's on the underpass at Lamar and 5th Street. Sade actually painted a mural on the other side of this wall as well that actually inspired our section of the wall with the lotuses. So the theme of this project was to convey positive, uplifting, and kind of informational message about physical and mental health, especially, as it relates to 2020. And so I kind of wanted to focus on highlighting that everyone should take time to do things for yourself, do little acts of like love and, support your well-being no matter how big or small they are. So I'm not sure if you can really tell from these images, but inside the words "be well" is different people, doing doing those things. So I have one person riding a bike, someone reading, and like someone meditating. And not only that, I wanted to show how we are kind of like the lotus and we have the ability to rise out of like the dark, muddy waters, and we're able to blossom, and kind of how I wanted to just acknowledge that we always are like constantly moving from a cycle from light to dark, good and bad, and in each of those phases we gain something from it. And this was just like such an awesome project to be part of. I got to work with other artists, local artists, some that I've admired for a really long time. And this was facilitated by the Raising of the Sun organization, and it was a project funded through the City of Austin's Cultural Arts Division program. And there's a lot more little elements in this piece. Just for like time, I won't get into it, but you're welcome to check it out on my Instagram or my website. So thank you. Yeah, if you want to keep in touch, feel free to follow me on Viva La Painter. And if you want to reach out for anything or want to collaborate or something on a project, you can email me at Carmen Creative Works. And I think Edith said we're doing questions, I believe.
Yeah, we'll do questions at the end. So next up, we'll have Katie and then Shade, and then after that, we'll open it up. So yeah, think of your questions and save them for the end, and we'll have plenty of time to get those answered.
Okay.
But thank you so much, Carmen. Literally, your murals are so beautiful. I love seeing them all around town, and I hope that y'all will take the time to go visit those, because she has them on like all over Austin. So yeah, take the time to go do that. Next up, we'll have Katie, another very talented artist. What's really cool about Katie is that Katie was a former artist in residence of Deeds, and she was an artist in residence right before COVID. So we didn't really get to showcase her as much as we would have liked. But she'll talk about that more. But I'm just so glad y'all are going to get to meet her as well. So go for it, Katie.
Thanks, Edith. Wow, great introduction. Okay, let me just pull up my presentation. Okay, it's not as cute as Carmen's. I just like, oh wait, how can I, ooh, here we go. Okay, yay, sweet, awesome. So my name is Katie. I am a self-taught artist and muralist here in Austin. My pronouns are she, her. I don't know, I put some like fun facts about me at the bottom, not sure why. Yeah, it was like Aquarius, Sun and Rising, Virgo Moon. I grew up on the East Coast. I moved to Texas 2 years ago. I don't know, I was like, that's my dog. She makes some features in the pictures and the rest of the presentation. But yeah, I guess let me go to the next slide. Boop. Or actually, no. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's the next slide. So yeah, I only really started my art practice 2 years ago. I think when I moved to Austin, like before that, I was going to college in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was so fun. But it was such like a small city, and like where I grew up was very small too. And there just wasn't a lot of space for creativity and or like a creative community or anything. So I kind of just kept like my love for art on like a little back burner. And I was like, this can never be a career, blah, blah, blah. I was working, I don't know, in like a bunch of restaurants at the time. And like, yeah, I just didn't have any room to, paint, even though I knew I really loved doing it. But when I moved to Austin, what really like made me want to start doing art again is seeing all the cool murals and like all the fun like art markets and cool like creative events that happen in the city literally like every day. And it was just so exciting. And I think two of my coworkers at the time, like when I was working as like a line cook in this restaurant, and two of them were like, I think they vended their little like crafts. So yeah, that kind of sparked my, I don't know, need to make art again. And so yeah, since then I actually started by signing up for the Frida Friday market that Carmen was just talking about. And yeah, Carmen, great work. I literally give so much credit to Freedom Friday, but also the community that is made through that market. I don't vend anymore, but I still like go to every single one because it's just the best and it's really encouraging. And so, yeah, I did line drawing for a while. I would sell art there. Now I'm more focused on like oil painting. I really love, or I guess I mostly got into it with quarantine when I had so much time. So yeah, I realized I really like painting super detailed works. I love oil paint as a medium. And yeah, this is just an example of the work that I'm kind of shifting to now, which is a lot of scenes from the Philippines. That's where I was born. I have family over there. And so all of those are like scenes of, yeah, what it's like when I go to the Philippines. But yeah, but aside from that kind of art, I also really, yeah, like I said, was inspired by all the murals. I saw Carmen's murals before I even knew Carmen. I saw Sade's murals before I even knew it. Like it was just so inspiring. And I was like, I always wanted to paint really large scale. And I had like right before I moved to Austin, I was here, I'll go to the next slide. Oops, can I? Oh yeah. Right before I moved to Austin, I did a little like traveling soul searching like volunteer situation, and the dorm or like hostel that I was staying in let you paint on the walls, and I just think I don't know, I was like, oh, this sounds cool. So that was like the first mural I ever did on like the left. Now that I look at it, I'm like, whoa, that's looks crazy. But yeah, I was really excited to like finally paint something bigger than like my sketchbook or whatever. And yeah, so when I got to Austin, I just remembered like that feeling, and I really wanted to just like paint really big pieces, but I didn't really know where to start. So I did like, I don't know if this is encouraging or like really embarrassing and I shouldn't share this, but like I put out a bunch of like, I think I was on Facebook groups saying like, oh, if anyone has like a free wall, like, can I like practice painting murals or whatever? I don't know, hit me up, and I would wait for it. And the one on the right here where it says 2019, someone's house, I literally put, I think just some like pictures of my like artwork on OfferUp, literally OfferUp, the app that you like sell furniture on. And I was like, does anyone want a free mural? And this guy, I don't recommend this. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I recommend, but he let me paint his house. And I was like, cool. I brought like my guy friend, so I didn't, kept it safe, kept it casual. But yeah, that's like how I started doing murals. I don't know. You got to start somewhere. I also don't recommend doing things for free, but you know what? Part of the journey. Anyway, moving on. So yeah. Oh, and these pictures are from Shag Salon. They're on like South Lamar here in Austin. This was also kind of part of my like, oh, can I paint someone's like walls or whatever? I was in a Facebook group which was for like this true crime podcast that I really like, which is also kind of embarrassing. But someone in that group worked at the salon, and she had like the owners, like, I don't know, slide into my DMs, and they're like, hey, like, we kind of want a mural. So yeah, this was my first like client. I also, yeah, I don't know. It was really fun, and it made me realize that I really liked working with small businesses, and just making really fun projects, and kind of just seeing like where, like what a client wants, and like how I can shape like my creativity to their desires. I don't know, like whatever their brand and like kind of vibe is. And I really enjoyed the project, and they let me have like a lot of creative freedom, which was really fun. Same thing, or not same thing. I think after that, I did a few murals for Tiny Tats ATX. This is just like an example of what I've done for them. I've done like their signage, and I did like a huge mural outside of their tattoo shop, which was really cool. So yeah, I think at this point I started like working with more like businesses. But yeah, let me see if I can just go through. Wow, I look funny in this picture. But yeah, this is a chalk mural that I did for Lexus in December. Edith, don't laugh at me. I can see you. Just kidding. Yeah, I didn't ever do chalk before or anything, but it just goes to show, I don't know, it was really random. Lexus like also slid into my Instagram DMs, and it was really funny because I feel like since I'm still really new at like not really new, but murals are still kind of something I'm like only I don't know, I'm trying to pursue as a career, but I'm not like I don't know. Don't let me go off on a tangent about that. But yeah, it was really exciting. And I thought it was like the coolest project ever. I was there for like 2 or 3 days in Dallas. And it was actually really hard. Chalk kind of sucks. I don't know. I was like on my knees. They had to give me like knee pads. And I was just like going. But yeah, it was a really fun project. And it gave me experience like of working with a corporation versus a small business. So yeah, those are just like examples of the random little pieces that I've done for businesses. Yeah, like the top one right here is a restaurant that I used to work at. I did one of those at Shag Salon, the Windsor mural I did for my high school when I went home briefly for my sister's graduation. And then I don't know, other stuff. But yeah, those are all like client work, I suppose. But here we are. Like Edith was saying, I was the artist in residence for Deeds Not Words. I think it was in 2020, like very beginning of 2020. I think I actually started talking to them like late 2019. But yeah, we ended up kind of, I think, doing a bunch of, or I guess what had happened was my residency kind of lined up with Deeds when they were starting their census campaigns and stuff. And I don't know, Edith helped me so much on this. Actually, I was like, what do I do? What am I literally doing? But we came up with a really cool idea for a portable mural to use at one of like the census. What do you call it, Edith? Canvassing event? Right? A canvassing event. And yeah, we didn't end up using it because yeah, COVID had popped off like right at the time that I think I finished it. But it was such a good experience. One, because I love everyone who works at Deeds. It was so cool, like learning how to I don't know. I like went to the building and they had like their official meetings and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy because I usually just like do stuff in my apartment in terms of art, whereas this was like very cool. And they were really like educating me all about the census, just like its importance, its history, its background and everything. And I think this was like what shifted me kind of wanting to pursue art like seriously, because everything in the past I was like still working on another job and you know, it was more of like a side, just like passion project or whatever. But working with Deeds and doing this, it kind of turned the art to be more of a very purposeful like intentional piece of art, and that kind of just like shifted everything. Because when you are collaborating with other people and it's for a cause that's like important, or just like meant to have an impact, you kind of approach it way differently. And it kind of just is also more satisfying at the ends. I don't know if Carmen and Sade can like relate, but yeah, when you know everyone like is having their eyes on it and, you know, taking a very specific message from the art that you make, it just kind of is a little bit different than, you know, just like putting your personal work out there. They're both good, actually. They're both like, I like doing both, but yeah, working with Deeds was awesome. Here's a snippet. This was me and Edith like gessoing the like canvas or whatever. Andrea, I don't know if she's in the chat right now, taking selfies in front of it. Our dog's just kind of frolicking. Anyway, I just put those in there for fun. Okay, moving on. And then another nonprofit that I worked with last year was the Hope Campaign, and I love the Hope Campaign. They do awesome stuff, and like just work in general with creatives here in Austin. They had a campaign called Hope for Health right around, I want to say like April and May, after COVID and like quarantine and lockdown like started happening. And it was really cool. They reached out to a bunch of artists and they kind of hosted artists to, put murals on the boarded up businesses on West 6th Street and I think some other locations. But yeah, this was a really, really cool project too. Because I think the goal, or I guess my group's goal was trying to think of art that I think the theme was check in on your neighbor. So just like the theme of, keep, I don't know, checking in on your neighbor, making sure everyone like in your life or people, even strangers that you don't know, like are doing well. And just because the location was pretty, there was a lot of like foot traffic and like people driving back and forth in a really like typically popular area. I kind of wanted just to have a nice message for those like passerbys to, I don't know, stay positive perhaps. That's what I just thought, like Better Days Ahead said. I don't know. But yeah, this was like probably one of my favorite projects. It's just really nice, again, like working with a really, really cool organization that one you like stand behind, but also like they're doing really great work. They're supporting the artists as well, and in turn like you make a really cool piece of work that you're proud of, but also hopefully has an impact on anyone who's seeing it. So yes, and I think nope, how do I do this? Oh yes, this was some shots that they took or whatever. Kira making friends with the passerbys while they paint. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that talk. Sorry, I don't know how to end things. But yeah, if you want to follow along, my Instagram's right there and my website. Yes, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Okay. Hopefully that was okay.
I didn't know you could see me laughing, but thank you so much. Katie's awesome. We love working with her. We love having her. But next up, we are going to have Sade Lawson, and I will actually be presenting her screen share, so she'll be telling you about it. But she's also like an amazing artist that I just found on Instagram that I was noticing her work pop up all over town too. And I always take note of people who are just really making an impact on the community. So I'm excited for y'all to hear from her too. So let me screen share real quick as well.
I was just going to share a little bit about myself. I honestly, after seeing Carmen and Katie's PowerPoints, I did very minimal, like my work are the PowerPoint. So just before we get started, I thought I would just do a little introduction about myself and my background and all that fun stuff. Just a little bit about me. My name is Sade Lawson. I also go by Coast Lawson, COSLAWSON on Instagram. I'm a visual artist, which mainly consists of acrylic painting and watercolor painting, which is what I mainly got started in. And then within the last 2 or so years has progressed into murals, which I honestly never expected to get into, but it's been a very fun part of my journey. So my background, I grew up in Central Texas, about an hour north of Austin, in a town called Copperas Cove, very small town, but within arm's reach of Austin. And I've been coming here ever since I could drive. I've been in Austin since 2014. And how I kind of got started in art in Austin was primarily by just submitting my work to shows. Like there were some random shows like Pancakes and Booze, like you hung up work and they made pancakes and there was an open bar. And then also Cherry Cola Dog, which no longer exists, but was an amazing place for artists and creatives of different mediums and types and genres to kind of come together and kind of experience a creative thing in an event on an evening. And that kind of spiraled into live painting, which was mostly at raves, bars, festivals, other kind of establishments, which was nice because it kind of allowed people to kind of actually get to know me on a more of a personal level, see how I work. And yeah, get to know me a little bit better. And the more that I kind of live painted, probably within like a 2-year time period, that kind of allowed organically a lot of connections with more people in the Austin community who actually did street art to kind of reach out to me and give me opportunities to kind of put my art out there, which I tell y'all right now, like I never in 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 years thought that it would be something that I do because I'm a very to myself type of person, but it's really kind of allowed me to blossom into like the person that I am today and really get to share art with messages and intention, which is something I'm really passionate about. I didn't share any of my murals prior to this, but the mural that's on the screen right now was the first mural that I did in 2020 of March last year. It's also the largest mural that I've done by myself, which is crazy. It was part of the first annual Writing on the Walls events with the Downtown Austin Alliance. They had a international artist, Sandra Chevier from Canada, come down, and she had Shepherd Ferry assist with her on a mural project downtown. Our theme was women's empowerment, and I had been reached out from a gallery actually in Canada who had partnered up with the Downtown Austin Alliance, and they kind of gave me the chance, like, you know, what does women's empowerment mean to you? And for me, you know, the 100th year of women getting the right to vote didn't necessarily apply to all women. So I was thinking, like, what does women's empowerment mean to me today? Like, how can I make this more of like a personal message? And for me, women's empowerment really means being empowered by every part of who we are, and even the parts of us that are not okay. The title of this mural is actually It's Okay to Not Be Okay, which is really wild too, because this was done, I started March 4th, we finished on the 11th, and I think maybe like a couple weeks after the pandemic hit. So just crazy. But a little bit about the mural. It's okay to not be okay. I have my figure. It's the same person, but expressing the different emotions that they have. We have like the yellow figure, a little more hopeful, the middle figure red, a little bit more assertive and like present. The blue figure, a little bit more somber, you know, just kind of maybe not the best, but they all are still that one person. And, you know, every single part of that person makes that person empowered. And I think, especially as women, you know, we have the expectations of who we are meant to be. And like, we're supposed to be the caretakers, we're supposed to be happy, we're supposed to not have issues. But at the end of the day, if we deny the part of ourselves, you know, that's not really living in our truth. So I was thinking women's empowerment, every part of who we are makes us empowered. And what I really also loved about this project was, you know, which going into it beforehand, I had never really done a lot of this stuff, but I was able to connect with a vast reach of women, like the community of women in Austin. We had a film screening, which Carmen was a part of that talk, which is really fun. And Sandra and Molly, the executive director of the Downtown Austin Alliance, kind of was a moderator. And we did like a little talk about, you know, what it's like to be a woman artist and our experiences and stuff like that. Sandra and I got to go to 2 schools and talk with students a little bit more about our experiences. So, you know, we were able to reach communities of children and like reach out to people so we could share our experiences on, you know, what the impact that art can have not only on like yourself, but a community, especially considering the location of where they are. This one, especially, it's in a very visible public space. So, when you put these messages like out there, it kind of helps initiate those conversations, which is really nice. Talking with the students was like one of my favorite parts about that. But we can move on to the next slide. So a little bit later in the year, in June, the Austin Justice Coalition, which is a organization here in town, who work in activism, but they also work for, equity for Black and Brown people. And sorry, I'm going blank. They were highlighting social justice and the Black Lives Matter movement. I had worked with them before a Black Art Matters show. So I kind of had a connection with them before on where they kind of were reaching out to artists of color and giving us the chance to kind of talk about things that are important to ourselves. And fast forward kind of now during June, which this was during the protests that were going on downtown and just all across the country. It was a pretty heavy time, but, they reached out because they are, in the field of empowering people who may not necessarily get to be empowered. So we all got to come together, not only Black artists, but allies to Black artists. And we painted Black Artists Matter, which is this mural in particularly is on East 11th Street in Austin, which now is a heavily gentrified area of the town. So kind of, putting that message out there of Black artists matter. They matter still. They always will matter. It's just kind of really relevant in the sense of, that part of town especially is changing and evolving. So let's see, the picture that's in the top right, that's just like a picture of me working on the mural, which is actually on Congress, which was the first mural that happened. And that was a pretty just heavy experience, because that was probably the first time after quarantine had happened that I think a lot of us were able to kind of come out and all come together, but not only just coming together, but coming together for a topic that we were also impassioned about. So it felt really good, especially just from being separated from people so long, that you still were connected on something that you were so passionate about. The picture that's in the bottom right is a painting that was made during the Black Artists Matters murals, where after that actual mural was painted, we were all invited to go to Kenny Dorham's backyard, just like right actually behind that. And we all got to make little paintings and mini murals, which they put on the fence. There were some Black Lives Matters murals that were painted inside. They repainted the sign for the Victory Grill as well, which is really cool. And it's just like a chance, again, and an experience to feel part of a community after being so isolated and separated. And it's just a very powerful moment, all done through the creation of art. So not only, did the art kind of have the message, but, we were all also to be able to kind of come together and feel connected on that subject matter that's very near and dear to a lot of us. We can go to the next slide now. All right. So kind of going further into the year, this is a mural that I had the pleasure of collaborating with another amazing, incredible local artist, Niz, who goes by El Nizzle. And we were approached by the Mexi Arte Museum downtown on 5th and Congress to do a mural that was relevant to the times. This was in October, so just before the elections were happening. Again, there were still protests going on downtown. It was a very heavy period of time. And they wanted us to make a piece of artwork that showed the unification of Black and Latin people based off of our shared struggles and experiences, but how that kind of bond makes us stronger. And we kind of tried to use this mural like as a chance for us to just kind of use our art as our voice, which we did. It's a very literal mural. We both used local models, like the people who are on the wall are actually two women of color that live in Austin, who do their own little things. But artists make change. We're artists. We want to put our intention into our work and show what we stand for and behind. And I don't know, I feel like with this one really, like the work kind of says, it's very literal. It says what we felt, but also just kind of the location of it. You know, it's a very heavily trafficked place of town. And I feel like when you have art in these spaces and places that are very visible, like it's kind of like that conversation piece that can help keep conversations going, especially after we feel like they're over. People don't want to talk about it, but I can't tell you how many people probably drive past that and we're able to at least initiate or keep conversations going past. And I don't know, I feel really lucky that I honestly didn't really get any negative backlash from the murals, despite kind of how political they were. But it was a really fun experience, but also it was pretty heavy. But let's see. Sorry if I'm spacing out. It was just, again, another chance to use our art as our power, as our voice. And sometimes it's honestly hard, especially for a lot of us visual artists, to kind of say what we want to say. And this is just kind of like a representation of us being able to do that without having to do that. Yeah, and I just feel really grateful, I'm just really blessed to get the chance to make art with intention that can help, whether it be mental health, whether it be like social, like activism, or social like causes. You know, art can really help initiate those conversations that for a lot of people are really hard to have. And yeah, it's really great. Never thought I would be doing it, but I mean, art with meaning is just something very near and dear to me. And yeah, you know, art can be your power. Everybody has their own little power, and you know, we got to do what we can to spread those messages out there, whatever that may be. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, my little screen is making it hard for me to see my mouse. But we have about, let me make sure, we have about 8 minutes left. So I don't know, do y'all have any questions y'all would like to ask? This would be a good time to have a little Q&A before we bounce for the rest of the evening. So I will invite y'all to ask any questions. If not, I have a few I can think of. So just want to open it up. And you can drop them in the chat, or you can feel free to come off mute.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, hopefully someone thinks of something. In the meantime, I kind of wanted to ask how important, and this can go to anyone, and maybe I'll start with you, Carmen, but how important is place when it comes to like the messages you put out there? You know, when it comes to, I feel like murals are really, it's really important where they are put. And so I was just wondering, like, how intentional is place when it comes to those works?
Yeah, it's super important. I feel like that is kind of like a big factor in terms of like, I take it into consideration whenever I'm creating a design for a space. So I really think about, you know, who is going to see this wall, like who's going to interact with it the most. what kind of message do these people need to see? Sometimes it's a positive thing. Sometimes it's something that they need to be confronted with, or educated about, or some kind of like issue that pertains to that specific community. So yeah, all of that takes into consideration. And I've been trying to be even more meaningful and just like consider it with my public artwork. So I'm trying to, reach out to people that live in the area, live or work in the area. I've been doing surveys recently where I just kind of like walk around, meet some people, send them a link to like a Google survey and get their input on like what do they want to see or what do they think they need to see. I think with the gentrification and the growth of Austin, it's definitely it's hard because I don't think there's just so many people. Like recently with some projects that I've done, I'm trying to like give community feedback and stuff like that. There's so many people that have like just moved to the area. They don't know anything about the history. They don't know what's going on. Some people are like, I just got a job here, so I just moved here. Like I have absolutely no clue about literally anything that's going on in the area. And so I'm trying to be, really careful when I approach really sensitive subjects in a way that it's more like educational. So like right now I'm working on some projects with the Mural Arts Initiative where we're talking about environmental racism and gentrification. We haven't even gotten to the actual like creation of the design or anything like that, just because we want to make sure that it's informational, it's educational, and it's for people who have been living there forever, their whole lives, and for people who just moved there. So yeah, it's the environment and the place that the artwork is being created in is really important.
Definitely. So we have a question from the audience. So how can people interested best support artists who address important social justice issues? So I don't know if maybe Shade or Katie want to take that one on.
Are you looking at me, Katie?
I'm looking at the chat. I was like, wait, I'm the worst hearing. Okay.
I feel like personally, like the best way you can help the people who do is just to support them, whether it be buying their work, showing up to their shows, sharing their work with other people, because I think an issue with some things is a lot of the time people don't know about stuff. So just helping spread the information out there is like a very huge, big thing that people can do that doesn't cost anything to help them. I mean, if you want to take it further and buy the work and support them and empower them in that way, then totally can do that. But I would just say bare minimum, just share the work, share it with everybody, ask those people to share, try to get it out as far as you can with the reach in those ways.
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a good way to support artists is just supporting them directly. And I think we've all learned about that a lot during last year, is just always supporting people directly is usually the best way. Katie, I was wondering if you could also talk about like how important place was for your mural and why we decided to make it portable and how that didn't work out.
Oh, I honestly, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, well, especially when you wanted to have like a very specific impact, like place is really important. Like Carmen spoke on gentrification, like, I mean, ours specifically that we did with Deeds was for like a canvassing event. And we, I think the intention was to go multiple places, but I think our starting point was Riverside. And that's where I was living at the time. I lived there. I still live in Riverside actually. But yeah, somewhere where it's accessible and but also will be in front of the people who you want to like share a certain message with, or kind of drive home some just a certain messaging. But I don't know, I mean, portable murals are cool, but also it just really goes to like who your like the audience is. I mean, everyone really who like walks by it, but I feel like the impact that you want to have also is like pretty determinant on where you're placing things. So I don't know. Hopefully that was a good answer.
Yeah. I think we have time for one last question. So here in the chat, they are wondering, Sade and Katie, what projects are coming up for you on the horizon? I know Carmen mentioned some. So yeah, what projects are coming up for y'all? What can we be looking out for? Because I always like to know.
But I can go first.
I don't know. So to be honest with y'all, like I am in school right now. I'm getting a nail tech certification. So I'm almost done though. I have a few weeks left. But after I get out, I don't have any murals at the moment planned. But I really, really, really want to work on having a concentrated body of work that kind of highlights like women of color here in town and talking about who we are and our experiences and just kind of amplifying those stories. I love portraiture. I love painting people. I love doing crazy, surreal, like beautiful, ethereal, like type of work. But I've never actually like kind of focused that into a collection of work. So after I graduate, I really want to kind of work on just doing that, like being empowered myself, but using my power to empower other people through incredible portraiture and art. So now y'all gotta hold me to my word because I just told y'all about it, but that's my plan and what I would like to be up to, and we'll see. Yeah, the murals are really, it's kind of wild because I don't personally go out of my way to apply for stuff, but if it's the right fit and the right project, like I will take it on. But murals are hard, very hard. What's the question? Other artists who, sorry, I can't see the chat.
No worries. I can read it out loud too.
Okay.
Well, we're at time, but we can answer this one last question. So who are some artists that influence you in your social space?
Katie?
Literally everyone. I honestly think everyone, like I follow like on Instagram and see like around town. No, literally y'all, like like all of y'all. I'm so serious.
All the badass women of color out there doing the work, because
for real,
there ain't that many. So
yeah, no, exactly.
I love Carmen's work. I love Mixed Hues, Samira.
Oh yeah,
she is incredible and just an incredible like human being. I don't know. I just feel like all the incredible badass like women here who are doing what they do, especially the women of color. Like I love them all. Not that I don't like the men; they're great, but you know, like it's just so great. You know, because that's another like representation of honestly what I never saw growing up. So you never know like who we are inspiring, and I love y'all.
Yeah, no, y'all really inspire me. That's what I was telling at the beginning. Like, I truly, seeing all of y'all's stuff was really like the jumpstart of me wanting to do literally anything. Yeah, it's just encouraging. I think everyone needs to see the representation, like, especially in the creative space. Austin does a really good job. I think Austin does a great job versus a lot of other places that I've been. There's room for improvement for sure. For sure. But yeah, from like just me, I know I'm not a Texas native or anything. I'm like someone who moved here, but it was really encouraging and like inspiring to know that like one, there are opportunities, but like other people, I think what was hard for me to start like in other places, I didn't see anyone close to like the kind of, young, a woman of color, like they weren't getting the opportunities and there weren't that many opportunities. But yeah, no, I think representation is like really important, and I'm glad to see everyone kind of like collaborating, especially like with all the virtual stuff going on now. Even though we can't be like super in person, there's still really cool projects happening and new art popping up literally like everywhere. So yeah, it's exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
This is our last session for the day. tomorrow will be our last session of our advocacy week. So yeah, don't forget to attend our final Changemaker rally. I think it will be hosted via Facebook Live. So we will see you all there tomorrow. But thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all are amazing. Y'all did amazing. And yeah, I hope y'all have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Edith.
Bye. Thank you.